So not only has this pandemic highlighted the importance of mental health, but it has also emphasized how critical healthcare workers are in general. And strengthening and preserving the healthcare industry can only lead to more positive things, like more jobs and ultimately a stronger economy. Joining me now from Dallas, Texas, a financial expert and co-founder and chief strategist of GDP Advisors, Seth Denson. Seth, great to see you.
Good to be with you.
So Seth, you're predicting that the Democrats are really going to hammer on health care as we get closer to the election. Republicans were not successful when it came to replace and repeal. And so you have a little advice for President Trump.
Yeah, release a plan. And that's what I've said. Not that Speaker Pelosi's ever going to let a plan come to the floor of the House of Representatives, but by not releasing a plan, the president is vulnerable to the attacks that we all know are coming. This is straight out of the Democrats' playbook. We've seen it for decades now on health care. And not that the Affordable Care Act was the greatest thing that ever happened, but they certainly, we're in a position, I think, where America's accepted it. And until we can see a plan from the administration on what they do to replace it, Democrats are going to seize on the opportunity to campaign against the president on health care.
Yeah, absolutely. The Democrats wouldn't let something like this pass. And it's just such a huge issue to take on. And it was one of President Trump's promises. And this is something that Americans care most about. I mean, it's just, this is what's on the mind of a lot of families every single day. As for the Democrats, when it comes to health care, they don't have a plan either. So I know that they're going to hammer on the Republicans, but what do they have to offer?
Well, I mean, listen, at the end, I believe their goal is government control of health care, which is a resoundingly unpopular thing in the United States. Even Medicare for All, when it was first released as a talking point, showed that a big chunk of Americans liked it until they realized what was in it and that it wasn't Medicare for all. It was government-run health care. Medicare actually utilizes the private pay system and provides choice. And so that therein lies the division. Is certainly healthcare is something we need to tackle. But unfortunately, the primary focus on healthcare has always been about health insurance. And when you only focus on one leg of what I call the three-legged stool of healthcare, where you have patients, providers, and then the payers, which is the insurance companies. But when you only focus on one, you leave the system wanting. And that's what the Affordable Care Act did. It focused only on health insurance. It didn't focus on the drivers of healthcare costs.
And what do you think the pandemic is going to reveal about our healthcare system as a whole?
Well, it certainly has revealed that while our men and women in our healthcare system are everyday heroes, we certainly have some shortcomings. And again, I'm a free market capitalist. We want a free market system. It is our free market system here in the United States that propels innovation that's utilized throughout the world. That being said, what the pandemic has revealed, I think, is where we have our challenges with the insurance structure the way it is in America. We need the free market to work more freely. We don't need a barrier of insurance companies that prevent access to care.
Yeah, and aside from health care, we have to talk about the lack of congressional action when it comes to a stimulus plan. A lot of Americans are wondering what help is around the corner to help them, make ends meet, pay their bills, etc.
Yeah, the money from the last stimulus package is done, and it's been the thing that many industries have been holding on to. For example, just this week it was announced that American Airlines is likely going to lay off 19,000 workers, MGM 18,000 workers, and so this is the problem that we have. We've talked about it before, though. The problem with Congress is their focus on expediency over effectiveness, and we need Congress not to act like a teenager with daddy's credit card and instead start focusing on where money can be spent effectively in these industries that are still shut down and struggling.
Yeah, they want to spend money on their pet projects, which really has nothing to do with helping the American people who are struggling. And you're talking about layoffs. I mean, I think that there's going to be some rough times ahead.
Oh, they certainly are if we don't get our act together and do something. And it's not likely that Speaker Pelosi is going to bring anything to the floor on this either. She can't give the president a win. And she would almost rather think, I believe, that people get laid off than to actually do something good for the American people.
Yeah, I was wondering that because a lot of people I've heard say this to me, that they think that the Democrats are trying to make this as painful as possible, that they think that this is a winning strategy when it comes to scoring political points. But I don't know how, how that is a winning strategy. I mean, yeah, maybe some of the media will kind of lie for the Democrats and make it seem like it's something different. But if they're dragging their heels and they're not providing any help, they can't just put all the blame on Republicans.
Well, I think they're hedging the bet that the American people won't see right through the strategy and that they won't really tune in and understand what's happening or not. And sadly, the mainstream media, a lot of times, the Democrats have on their side is their bullhorn. And so we've got to get the message out there of what we're trying to do economically as a country and what we can do.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to have to leave it here. Thank you.